I'm on the road. My life lately has been a lot on the road, but it's just been a challenge. Things have happened and stuff's going on that's I want to talk about a little bit. I kind of want to record this just because I'm in the middle of it, and it's even hard for me to believe that some of this is happening, and I'm in the middle of it. I'm living it, and it is what it is. However, what I kind of want to do, and let me try to adjust this. I've got this light glaring. That's a little better. All right. I want to share this for other people that might be going through circumstances like this, and to let you know you can make it through it. Like I said, I'm kind of just going through it at the moment. Still not out of it yet, but it's just life, and I think maybe a little bit of something going on. I still haven't figured it out totally. I just wanted to share this while it's all fresh in my mind. But life can throw you some curveballs, just really, really throw you some curveballs, and it can just do it all at once. Book of Job records things where that God allowed the hedge to be lifted around Job, and Satan came in and just had a heyday with Job's life, and in everything, Job said, "Though he slay me, yet will I trust him." His faith never wavered. I don't know if I'm as strong as Job. I'm still trusting the Lord, but it's really hard to be with your head up high when you're in the middle of it. So it is a challenge, and I'm actually passing through. It's just kind of funny. I'm talking about this, thinking about this right here, but I'm passing through Cottonwood, Idaho. My wife, when she was a little kid, used to live in this town. It's the only other time that she was in Idaho for about 2 years, and then they went back to California, and I'm passing through it right now. And in her life, her mom and dad went through a really hard time here as a trial. They just about lost everything, and they only had enough money to get back home. So it's kind of funny that I'm going through this little town as I'm thinking about this, talking about this, but that's where we're at. But anyway, so my life, so you can get a little bit of understanding, I do deliveries for a living, and I deliver all kinds of stuff. It's too much to go into to tell you everything. Just know it's a lot of stuff, a lot of different items. And so I'm on the road a lot, and so things happen on the road, and I recognize that things happen, and you just deal with them and you move on. It's part of being on the road. But I've went through just a circumstances lately, and this is just things in life that just bombard you, and it just doesn't stop. And the only thing I've done is just pray through it, just say, God, help me, give me mercy, give me grace, because that's just been crazy. So anyway, I wanted to tell you, I don't want this to be negative by any means, or to sound negative, sound hopeless, because it's not. It's just when you're in the middle of being beat up, it's like the boxer in the ring that's being hit while he's in the middle of being boxed. What he doesn't need is somebody telling him, like, hey, it doesn't have to be that way. He's there. He's being boxed, he's being hit. Or the person in the middle of the storm that's saying, hey, don't you wish you were in a better area right now? And, hey, we're in the middle of it. When we get through this, then we'll feel different about it. But while we're in the middle of it, just understand that life is throwing its curveballs, and we're trying to cope with it and deal with it. So anyway, I want to tell you a little bit about what happened. I hopefully I'll remember everything. It's been so much stuff. It's just insanity. So the weekend before Easter, I was down in Southern California. I had my other truck and trailer. The reason why I'm in this right now is because I'm still in the middle of it. I'm in a Penske truck, rental truck, trying to finish committed runs that I've committed to. So I was down in Southern California, and coming up to the Mojave, I had a scheduled appointment that I had to get to. I was trying to get there. This guy totally jinxed me. But he said, are you going to be able to make it on time? Everybody else is committed to this, and they always are late or something happens. And he told me this right before all this started. And I said, man, barring nothing happening, I will be there at this time. Well, that's how it started. And so I'm just outside of Mojave, probably about 5 or 10 minutes. And I get a warning light on my dash that one of my tires is going low. And I'm like, oh no. I mean, it's dark. It's about 10 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night, something like that. But it's already dark. And I was like, oh no. It looks like I got a tire going flat. So I get out and check it. Sure enough, it had got a nail or something in it. And it was going going flat really fast. So that's how this thing started. I got it changed, basically called him and said, hey, guess what? I'm not going to make my appointment. I thought I would. I had a flat tire. He was understanding. I said, I'm doing my best to get there. And it was going to be like 10:30, 11 o'clock before I got there from that point. So I just told him, I said, hey, listen, I'm already tired because I've been driving all day. Why don't I just make it to Bakersfield? I'll grab a hotel, and then we'll just do this in the morning. And he said, okay. So that's how it started. And I went to Bakersfield, and I got a hotel, and got a good night's rest. Come out the next morning to find that my truck had been broken into, and the side window busted out, and they stole about $300 worth of stuff out of the truck. It wasn't really super valuable stuff. Probably the most valuable was a toolbox that I'd spent about $45 on. Just the accumulation of stuff. I had to go replace everything and then repair the window as well. Ended up that run, I was making about $300 or $350, something like that on that pickup, and I ended up spending $500. And the good thing was at that time was I had about $2,000, $2,500 in the bank, and I was just starting to turn a profit in this business, and I was getting pretty excited about it. That I was starting to turn a profit, and you know, it's been a lot of money being put into it. I was pretty excited about it. So anyway, needless to say, that set me back $500, and it threw me late to try to get home for Easter weekend. So I was Easter on the road, and I was trying to get back to Las Vegas from that point, and there was a huge accident on that freeway because of so many people going out of town for the weekend, and it was like a 6-hour delay. I ended up driving around it, shaved myself off about 3 hours doing it, but I ended up taking a route that took me 2 hours longer than normal. And by the time I got to Vegas, it was 8, 9 o'clock at night. I had to do that delivery that I picked up in Bakersfield, took it, delivered it, and then I went up to St. George and got a hotel in St. George. And I'm coming back home, and I'm thinking, man, this is crazy, you know, but I can handle it. So I get back home, and right after I got back, I had a delivery that I had to go to Montana. And so I went to go take off to go to Montana and pull in my trailer. And one thing I noticed too while I was down in Vegas in that area was I noticed that my truck, because it was just starting to get warm down there, I was noticing my truck was running a little bit warm on the temperature. So I thought, man, I probably need to get a radiator flush pretty soon, you know, and get something done on that. And it's just, that's a maintenance thing. It's not a big deal. But I noticed it getting a little bit warm. But what I didn't know was that the heat down there, that probably wore into my bearings quite a bit. And when I took off on this next run with my trailer, one of the bearings happened to overheat, and it basically, it fried the whole brake drum and everything. And I just took off on this run on Montana, and I get this warning light on my dash that the brakes were disconnected on the trailer. And so I pulled over only to find that one of the wheels had already started to catch on fire. And so I grabbed some water real quick, put the fire out. But there's miracles involved with all this. With all the craziness, all the stuff that happened, God has always provided all the way through it, every single time. There was 2 guys following me with when I was pulling that trailer that were actually able to fix the trailer. They were the guys that literally worked on the trailer to fix it. And they pulled over and gave me their number, and they said, hey, our shop's right here around the corner, 2 miles from here. If you can get this wheel off and pull it over there, because I have tandems, which is 2 sets of wheels on each side. They said, if you can just take it and pull it over there to the shop, we'll fix it for you. And I said, all right. So I got the wheel off, got everything, and took it over there. Finished my Montana run. However, this just tell you, this part of it. Just all the stuff is crazy. I get the U-Haul trailer, and the U-Haul trailer, when we hook it up, worked just fine. I get up to Montana, and it starts getting dark that day. I went to go flick on the lights, and I had no lights on the trailer, U-Haul trailer whatsoever. And I couldn't get them to work whatsoever. Little did I know later on that I actually had turn signals and brakes. I didn't know that until way later. I found it out later. But anyway, if I'd have known that, I'd just towed it back. So at the end of that run, I come back to Rock Springs in Green River area in Wyoming. And I ran that whole time through Montana, all that stuff, without lights on that trailer. And it's just wide open country, so I thought, it's not going to be a big deal. I have to tell you one more miracle in the middle of this, too. Before I got to Rock Springs, with the other stuff that had already happened with the trailer, I got the news that it was going to be a $900 repair. So $900 in the trailer is what I started this run with. And I get up to Wyoming to deliver this truck deck. And the guy there, he said, hey, where are you going to stay tonight? And I said, I don't know, we're going to grab a motel or something. And he goes, why don't you stay in I have a little Airbnb connected with this garage. And he goes, why don't you stay there? I won't charge you. And he said, and he gave me a check for $100. He said, here, this is just a tip. I want to be a blessing to you. And I said, oh, okay, thank you. So that was a huge, God helped me with that. That was probably about a $200 blessing right there. So anyway, I was thankful for that. And then I get back on that run, and I get to Rock Springs, and I pulled into U-Haul, and I said, hey, I'm fixing to go back into a busier spot. I don't want to get rear-ended because somebody can't see my brake lights. So I said, can you check these lights? And they send me over to mechanic. Well, he gets into this thing, he's tearing his trailer apart, and I'm talking 2.5 hours later. Well, mind you, I was trying to get back really at a reasonable time. This is like on a Saturday. I was trying to get back at a reasonable time to get my other trailer to tow it home, and it was going to be super, super late. So anyway, so I get in, get it fixed, tow it back there, turn it in, grab my other trailer, and by the time I got home, it was too late. It was too late. I missed church. And it was frustrating. This how all this stuff, how it gets started. It was frustrating. So I looked at my trailer, everything looked fine on it. And by this time, I've got my alert up because I've already had, a long time ago, when I first bought this trailer, I already had a U-Haul trailer that caught on fire. And so it started me watching your bearings and watching your wheels and all this stuff. And so anyway, I get back to Boise. And I believe on that run, if I'm not mistaken, it was right about this time. I just can't remember exactly which run it was. But I get a phone call from my property management saying, hey, the owners of this house are looking to sell your house. You've got to move out. You've got 1 month to move out, basically. Or we'll notify you. Well, it was about 1 month later. And so here we go with that. So I just got hit with another bill of trying to figure out how to pay rent and to get a down payment, and most of them want first and last. And nowadays with the rent totals, we were looking at having to get into a house of $2,500 a month, and I was going to have to come up with $5,000. So anyway, I was looking at that. Well, we managed at the same time. We get a call or text to my wife from the neighbors across the street from us. They said, hey, we're looking to move at the end of May. Do you think you guys would be interested in renting our house? Because we were kind of looking at that already anyway. And so I said, well, yeah, that'd be awesome. Well, we ended up, long story short on that, we ended up getting it, which is a miracle, but we got it at $2,000 a month. And regular rent right now in Boise is $2,500 a month for that. So God blessed us. And even though we had just got notice, God already took care of us with the next house. So I'm just telling you, God will keep his hand upon you. All right, so this story, believe it or not, has just begun. And I know I'm long-winded and whatever, but you just hang in there and you'll get it. So I get the notice we have to move in the middle of this. Then I'm going a little bit further down the road, started another journey. I decided to go ahead and get my radiator flushed out on the truck because I thought, well, that'll help with the coolant level. So we did that. And so that was another bit of repair. And then I started down the road, and I was in the middle of Utah, and another bearing on my trailer went bad. And I had to pull in early in the morning. Took about an hour or two. It delayed me a little bit. It wasn't too bad, but it delayed me a little bit. But I had to basically pay for another bearing to be replaced, and that one was $170. And I also, mind you, I'm running on tires. While I'm through all this, I'm running on tires that are low on my truck and low on my trailer. So I'm knowing that I'm going to have to replace tires real soon. So I'm in the middle of changing bearings. I get that bearing fixed, and I tested. You feel the hubs, and you can feel if they're warm or not. And so I started checking it regularly, and then I started noticing that there was the last remaining bearing was needing to be done. It wasn't like an emergency thing. I could wait until I got back. So I thought, well, I got to put this on the schedule. So anyway, I started in buying tires, and that was my next thing I did, was I started buying tires. And so $1,500, $1,600 later, I got new tires on the truck and on the trailer. And that tire story isn't over yet. So, but that was maintenance. Some of this is maintenance, some of it's just craziness. And so, and all this is in a month and a half. Okay, where I'm at right now is $7,500 that I've already spent, and I just found out another additional $3,500. So if I do everything that's needed to be done, I'll be at $11,000 in a month and a half in car repairs. So this is crazy. So I'm in the middle of all this, and then I find out that my dad has to go in for surgery, and that they need me to come down and help them in the middle of June. Now, mind you, I don't mind helping mom and dad, but I'm in the middle of this financial crunch that's starting to happen. And so I told my mom and dad, I said, I don't mind helping, but I have to somehow earn money to be able to pay for all this, because I've got bills that are just piling up. And so and I'm still behind on them, trying to catch those up. So anyway, I'm getting into that, and then the truck started having issues with the alignment. I had to have the alignment done on that, and I still have to do shocks on it. Let's see, there's more. Trust me, there's plenty more. And then, and to make a long story short, because I've been 17 minutes in this already, but makes a long story short, I went down to go help my mom and dad. On the way down to help my mom and dad, right before I left, I had the last bearing on the trailer serviced, and they tightened it too tight. I got 50 miles outside of Boise, and the thing was piping hot. Glad it didn't catch on fire and ruin the bearing. We managed to save it, but I had to pull into this little gas station that's already helped me once before. And I told them about the bearing issue, and they said, yeah, no problem. We'll fix it. And so they pulled it apart, and we had to repack a bearing, which I had just spent another $45, $50 on to get that bearing done. The shop that did it, I'm just never going to take it back, because this is now twice I've had problems with their work. So anyway, but we had to fix the bearing. And mind you, I just put at the same gas station, I just put on new tires. I take off to my trip to Reno, get stuck in an hour and a half delay and traffic. I ended up delivering a motorcycle at 2 in the morning. The guy was still up. And so got that done. I take off drive from there to head down to Vegas. And on the way there, I was an hour outside of Vegas and hit a piece of metal. And my brand new tires that I just put on the trailer, the metal, couldn't go in the main part of the tire. It had to go into the sidewall, and it goes in the sidewalk. So I had to buy a brand new tire. So the brand new tires that I just bought, I had to buy another one. And then he ended up selling me a spare on top of it, because my other spare is too small. But I ended up having to buy another new tire. And I'm just like, this is nuts. So anyway, in the middle of all that, I get the news from my wife, and actually a friend of ours called me. My mother-in-law falls and breaks her hip, and she's in the hospital. My wife's had to go over there and go deal with it. It's just one thing after another. And then my dad's, like I said, my dad's going in for surgery. I'm going down to help him. So my wife is helping her mom while I'm helping my mom and dad. And I get to my dad's house, and like I said, I already had a couple of things happen on that trip. I go to San Diego, and he starts not wanting me to drive his car, because it's a brand new car, it had 100 miles on it. And he was like, how many miles put on it? So I ended up just going down the beach, hanging out there for a little bit while I was there. And we spent 3 or 4 days in San Diego. We had a good time. But he finally got out of the hospital, and I go to get back to El Centro to drive them off, and I'm already crunched for time. So I'm trying to get my deliveries. We pull up in front of the house only to find half, if not more, of the coolant in my truck leaked out into the gutter. And so my heater core went bad. And $1,700 later, here we go again. And it's just, like I said, it's one thing. And I probably have left out stuff. There was so much stuff that happened. And so I get that truck fixed, had to rent another rental truck to take it back, and I get that truck, and that truck has a small little tiny motor in it. Even though it's supposed to be around 1,500, has a small little tiny motor in it, and I end up having to do 50, 55 mile an hour all the way back home. At least I got home, but it was a long trip. And so, I've towed another trailer back with that truck, got it back. That was $750 to do that rental. And then, so I get the truck back to El Centro, pick up my truck. It's running. They fixed it. And I get it back to Idaho, and then I take off on a Washington run. My wife went with me. We will go up and we go to Washington and back. I get back to Idaho, and I have to make another trip to Wyoming to deliver a trailer. And while I'm cleaning out the truck, because we had a mess from that trip, I was cleaning out the truck, I feel the floorboard, and the floorboard's wet with antifreeze. And it was the same issue that I already had. And if it would have been from previous, I wouldn't have to worry about it so much. This was fresh. And I was like, oh no, this thing is leaking again. So I put it in the shop again. So that's in there. But good news is it's warranty. They covered the work. So they're paying for it. But that is another delay. And so I went to go take my backup truck, which is my 1,500, to go pull this trailer. I made it okay to Salt Lake, going up the hill from Salt Lake. And that service engine light popped on. Turns out, long story short on this, I had 3 mechanic shops in one day that I was in trying to keep this thing on the road and keep it going. Turns out it's a camshaft, lifter and a camshaft on top of the motor. And it went bad. And that is a $3,500 repair. And I basically babied that truck and drove it home. And I lost about $700 in work because I just couldn't pull it with that truck. So I babied it, got it home, parked it, and now I'm here in the Penske. And I know that I've left stuff out. That's all that I can remember at this point. It's been craziness. All that being said, every single time I broke down, I was in a spot where I could be helped. I wasn't in the middle of nowhere, and there's a lot of middle of nowhere in all these spots. I was in a spot where I could be helped. I could get things done. And God took care of me through everything. And I look back on it, and I want to give God credit for this, because he kept me safe through all of it. No matter what was happening, he kept me safe. And I'm thankful to God for doing that. And I just, like I said, I wanted to say this to those of you that are going through circumstances like this. You just got to hold on. You can't waver. You can't fade. You can't say it's God's fault. And trust me, I've done it. I was a Job. Job, through all this, didn't know where to expect. And I still don't know where the attacks come from, whether it's just life doing its thing, or whether it's Satan attacking me, or whether God's trying to take me through a Jonah thing where he's trying to correct direction that I'm going. I don't know. But all I know is this. I'm here, and God is taking care of me. And it might be the storm. He could stop the storm right now. But sometimes he calms his child in the middle of the storm, as Steve Curtis Chapman writes a song about. And that's kind of where I'm at with it right now, is God's giving me peace through it. I'm just keep on rolling. That's the only thing I know how to do. So I'm keeping on rolling straight ahead, and we'll figure out what life goes from there. So hopefully this can be an encouragement to somebody. Just hang on. You'll make it through it, and you'll get out of it. It just takes time. It's just life. It takes time. So anyway, hope this encouragement. Have a great one. Talk to you later.